hoping that everything, yay, it all comes together today. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Give me a second. Just get my pen, get my pens together. Hello, guys. Okay, we're gonna get started on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Awesome. Hey, YouTube. Hey, Miss Congeniality. How are you guys doing? Hey there, Q. Hey, guys. Okay, so we tried to live stream on Thursday, and it was completely unsuccessful. Okay, it did not work whatsoever. Okay, it was horrible, and I did not though want this week to be wasted in the sense where we weren't able to accomplish the things that I wanted us to cover for the week. Right, so I'm going to spend this time going over what we covered this week for Power 15 because it's so essential that the community gets this information. Shout out to everyone who was watching the replay. We sent out an email to the community, and I love the questions that you guys submitted in regards to vision, and we're going to be answering those questions next week. If you were not able to submit your question, be sure to check for the email that was sent out and reply back to that email so that your email can be answered. So we're going to do a recap, and I'm just going to write down the main information I want to cover in this recap. I already have my notes, but just some things I want to add. We're going over this month as well as the beginning of November. We're going over the importance of casting vision. As a leader, whether you're in business, ministry, or life, you should know what your vision is. And this is very important, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Because there are pitfalls that many entrepreneurs experience because they do not have a vision. And we're also going to cover the scripture that we pulled that is very misquoted when it comes to vision boards and vision activities, and that is Proverbs 29 and 18. And that's where I'm going to jump to first. We covered this on Wednesday. Not Wednesday. Tuesday. Tuesday we covered this. We talked about on Tuesday Proverbs 29:18, which again is the most misquoted scripture when it comes to vision. Okay, it is the most misquoted. And so I want to go back to Proverbs 29:18 because there is this understanding that some people have that people perish when there's a lacking of vision. But that's not all that is entailed. Because when you read Proverbs 29:18, it has this condition to it outside of vision, and it says that, but he who keeps the law, happy is he. Well, what kind of law was that scripture talking about? Well, it was talking about keeping God's commandments, right? So this wasn't just any kind of vision. And when we read the Amplified, which I love, it says that where there is no vision, and then it defines it as no revelation of God and his word. So the vision was not just any vision, but the vision included revelation. And this is where we begin to qualify what makes a good vision, because as I brought up before, having a vision does not mean that people will not perish. Hitler had a vision and people perished. Stalin had a vision and people perished, right? Vision does not equate to life. Vision does not equate to success. There are many people who have had visions, but because their vision had no direction, their vision had no revelation, there was nothing that was, the aha moment for others. It just was a regular business, a regular venture, another idea. There really wasn't a substantial purpose or intentionality within the vision that brought people to a better destination. And so it was very important that we qualified what makes a good vision, okay? A good vision. People call themselves visionaries because they believe that a visionary is someone that sees something. But a visionary is not a visionary if they cannot take you there. I'm going to say that one again. A visionary is not a visionary if they cannot take you there. A lot of people use this term visionary. It's becoming the new word instead of owner and founder and CEO. People call themselves visionaries. And they believe that they are a visionary because they are good at seeing things. But a visionary is someone that sees it and then takes you there. If someone's calling themselves a visionary, they always have big ideas, but they're never taking you to that big idea. They're not a visionary. They're just an idea person. Many people have ideas. A lot of people have ideas. A lot of people have ideas. A lot of people can be in the theoretical. The theoretical is where I am talking about a concept that has not manifested yet. I'm talking about an idea of way of doing things that I have not yet done before, or based upon possibilities, but there has not been risk taken. I have not betted on myself. I'm just telling you what I think would be a good idea, what I think would be a possibility, right? And so people who are visionaries but never take you somewhere, they're just people with ideas. They're not visionaries. Because if you see it enough, you're going to end up going there. If you really believe in what you see, you're going to take people there. You're not just someone who is seeing something, okay? And that is big. So as we said with Proverbs 29:18, the most important thing that we got from that is that it is important that your vision includes revelation. Now, we're talking about this past the natural sense, though. We're not, sorry, past the spiritual sense. This actually applies to business. Every great business has an aha moment. There's something that they're able to do in the market that attracts people to say, I like this company, I like this business, I like this product more than another product that's already been in existence. It's when you can create an aha moment where people realize for themselves, I love this type of food. I love their food that they serve here versus another place, right? Or I've added on this place is one of my favorites because I've discovered an aha moment. It could be in their taste buds. It could be in their hair. I'm a girl that loves wigs, extensions. I like my natural hair. I love hair products, right? And so there are great brands that have emerged that have created aha moments where people have said, you know what? I love this product in my hair. I love the way it texturizes. I love the way that it just makes my hair healthier. I'm sensing it. My hair is not becoming as thinned out, right? You're creating an aha moment. I have my favorite, Mr. Stanley, I have my favorite hairstyles whenever I cut my hair. But when my hair grows back more, he does my sew-ins, right? And so I love the fact that he takes care of my hair, right? He takes care of my hair. And so there's an aha moment there. And when you are a leader, it's important that you're learning how to cast vision, okay? There's a difference between people that are obsessed with their ideas, and there's a difference between people who are strong and passionate about making those ideas manifest, making those ideas realized. Okay, so let's take a step back and let's go through what we talked about earlier this week as we get ready for next week. Your action item for the community was to practice casting vision. Now, what does that look like? I'm glad you asked, because we talked about this on Thursday, except the live stream started acting. So we're talking about this on Wednesday. I keep missing my days. That's when I was traveling back home. And so we weren't able to cover really a lot because for some reason the Wi-Fi was acting up. So I want to cover it now. Casting vision is more than about you talking about your business on social media. When I talk about casting vision, this is actually a practice of what leaders do. The leader must cast the vision to those who work within the company and cast vision for those who are a part of the company's journey. And the reason why this is so important is that many small business owners do not see themselves as owners. They see themselves as someone who has a business, working the business. And so your mindset does not even equate to, ownership. You own a business. It's more than just you having something that you make money with, right? You actually are owning and running a company. Okay, that needs to first sit in your mind, okay? And because of this, it is my responsibility to know, number one, why do we exist? And this is more than your pitch. This is more than just you having a pitch. As a leader of a ministry or an organization, right, you should have a clear understanding of who you are as a organization, who you are as a platform. Again, it depends upon where your mindset is at. There are people who have a mindset of, this is just a little platform I have, and I'm just here just to encourage people, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that should always be the heart of it. But that is not the leader mentality. right? I just have a little platform. I just like to encourage people. I have a little business. We just sell products here and there. Okay. You're talking like an employee. You're talking like somebody who has someone over them. That's what you sound like. Okay, because you don't sound like you own it. You don't sound like you're over it. You sound like you are someone who's working under somebody else. The conversation elevates to here is who we are as a ministry. Our responsibility as a ministry is to do X, Y, and Z. We believe that we exist in the world in order to serve people in this capacity, right? That's how the leader sounds. That's how the leader is going to communicate and talk. When you talk about your business, I am the owner of the company. We exist because we believe that the world needs X, Y, and Z. And the way that we deliver that to the world is through X, Y, and Z. That sounds a lot different than I'm someone, I own a small business and, Toledo, Ohio, and, and the way you talk about it, right? Well, yeah, okay. Okay, all right. Right, so we got to work on you casting vision, right? So let's talk about what first your vision should include. And we have an acronym that we're going to be focusing on over the next couple of weeks for you to practice casting vision as a leader. Some of you want to build a team. Do you know that a team comes when they know that the leader is confident and knows where they are going? No one is going to, and even, I'm not going to say no one, because people can follow a bad leader. Okay. But what I mean is good people. Good people are attracted to good leadership. Good people are attracted to organization. Good people are attracted to a positive and effective vision that has an end destination, right? Good people are not going to follow you around in circles. You have no idea where you're going. Good people want to go to a destination, right? There are some people that are free spirits, and they don't mind if there's no end destination. But the greatest organizations and ministries, they have goals they want to meet. They have things they want to accomplish. They have impact that they want to see realized. So let's go through our vision acronym, shall we? So we are focused on the first, but let's break it all out so that way you can remember when we come to this. And again, this is prepping us for next week, okay? So vision is an acronym. What does vision mean? The V means that you must, number one, give voice, okay? Give voice. Remember, vision is the destination. Mission is how you're going to get people there. Vision is the destination. The mission is how you're going to get them there, right? So, but if you're not talking about your company as a company, if you're not talking about your ministry as a ministry, if you're not talking about your personal brand as a brand, okay, then that number one, that right there is going to be the first door that we have to open up, right? Is to give voice. You should be talking about your organization to the point where if someone asks you who you are, you can give it to them, and not in a pitch way where you're just focusing on selling a product. There's a difference. Marketing focuses on selling the product or services or resource or whatever it is that you do. Casting vision is about the direction of the company, the direction of the organization, the direction of the ministry. Where are we going as a whole? Where are we going as an entity? What are things that we want to accomplish, right? That's the vision. The vision is greater than the products and services. Your products and services can change. Your team can change. But the vision is actually what you're called to do. The vision is actually what will be manifested in people's lives, what they will experience, right? So a great example is a vision of a restaurant, right, is the experience that they want to take people. But the menu, the actual items may change, right? You may be serving, for instance, with McDonald's, right, for a long period of time. McDonald's was very much focused on just the hamburgers. If you ever watched the movie The Founder, and we are going to be doing in the SWS community, we're going to be doing some movie nights because there are books and documentaries I'm watching all the time, and I want my women to be watching the same stuff I'm watching because it's so great. But I know many of you have watched it, but The Founder is about McDonald's. And it's about talking about how they became a franchise. And if you ever watch The Founder, oh, it's so good, especially when they have the tennis court strategy where they're talking about how they're doing the flow of the restaurant to maximize efficiency. Woo, I love it. So in the movie, though, right, they're talking about how they were at first doing just hamburgers, fries, and drinks. Hamburgers, fries, and that was it. That was it. But the vision of McDonald's has very much stayed the same. And the idea of serving families, creating a food experience for all. They are not trying to be Prime. They're not trying to be, a Steak 48 or wherever you want to eat. They're not trying to be Maggiano's. They're not trying to be Cheesecake. They're not trying to be Chili's or even Waffle House, right? McDonald's is trying to be who they have really worked on being for such a long period of time. Now, it has expanded to an international brand, right? So their vision has expanded a little bit, actually a lot. But my point is that they have really much kept to the heart of their company, right? So what you offer now, they have Happy Meals, and they have, shakes, and they have breakfast items, and they have, salads. I mean, they're serving different food, but the core of the mission has stayed the same. Just like Chick-fil-A is a perfect example, right? Chick-fil-A has remained very core to their vision and their mission and their values, right? Their food items have, I do not think that, Chick-fil-A thought, 30 years ago that they would be selling kale salad. I'm pretty sure they did not think that 10 years ago they would be selling kale salad. But Chick-fil-A is selling kale salad, right? So, but my point is that the items may change, but the vision, which is at the top, is going to remain the same. So this is why, number one, if you are a brand that is focused on B2B and also B2C, but you want to be voicing the vision of the company. Because as a leader, you're more than just the person who's in the business. You are someone who is running the company. I need you to be company minded. If you are in a ministry, I want you to be leadership ministry minded. There's such a difference because the way that you talk about it is from the idea of the direction of the company. This is where we are going. These are the things that you will see over time. These are the things that we want to bring into your life over time, right? I'm not saying, my name is Genesis Dorsey. I'm going to give a perfect example, right? Because I'm going to give you how we're going to do this. We're launching Speak Woman Speak Ministries, right, which will be an arm of Speak Woman Speak as an actual ministry organization, a separate ministry organization. And I tried to do this on the last slide, but it was acting up. Okay, we're going to do it this time. And whenever I talk about, whenever I'm in the process of working with a ministry or launching a ministry of my own accord, I never talk about it as I. Okay, because why? It's an organization. This is not me. This is not a personal brand. And even in a personal brand, you still can talk about we, because usually, depending on your mindset, it's also we, because you know that even after you leave the earth, your company will still be in existence. But see, that's another level of mindset. That's not for everybody. Some people, they believe their personal brand is just them. But John Maxwell, his company will live on past him. I will tell you that much. We got Bob Proctor, okay? We got Zig Ziglar. Some of the greatest minds, thought leaders, their companies will, if they have not already passed away, will live on when they are gone, because they have realized that they may be the ones who have started their legacy, but they have built a company around even their personal brand. So even their personal, it is still a we, right? So my point though is that, hey, Latasha, hey, when you're talking about your business, if it's a business, if it's a ministry, it's a we. It's not an I, okay? So I'm going to give you really quickly the vision of, I'm going to give you, and I'm really excited because I want to show you guys, we'll be creating content to show you guys behind the scenes how we're going to be building out the ministry, because I think it's important that you guys are seeing just how this stuff works, right? In a easy to follow way, like an everyday person doing it, right? And so this is the vision. Before you launch a website, before you get a logo done, before you do anything, you need to first know what you're actually doing, okay? And you need to first identify the vision. The vision is where you will take people. So I'm going to give you the vision for Speak Woman Speak Ministries. Our vision is to equip women around the world with faith-based resources and tools that develop their faith and confidence to speak life to themselves, their families, and their world. I'm going to say that one again. The vision at Speak Women Speak Ministries is to equip women around the world with faith-based resources and tools that develop their faith and confidence to speak life to themselves, their families, and their world. It's a very clear vision. It shows exactly why we exist. It talks about exactly what we're going to do, and it talks exactly about what they will experience with what we're going to do. It's very clear, okay? Very clear, Very clear. So as I'm building a team right now, and as I begin to talk to different people who want to join the team, they will know exactly what we're here to do. We are not here to be a dating platform, where we talk about relationships all day. We're not going to be focusing on healing as our core of our ministry. Now, we may include healing confessions, healing resources. We may include relationship confessions and relationship resources, but we are not a relationship ministry. We are not a healing ministry. We are not a mom ministry, right? We are focused on a very specific area of ministry. Okay? And this goes for business as well. I'm just showing you because I'm going to give you a real life example of what I'm working on right now. Number one, we're focused on creating resources and tools. Okay? And as I go through the vision acronym, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to work this. And I've done this in my previous things I've done. So this is not someone teaching you something new. Okay? It's someone teaching you someone that I know what I'm doing. Okay? And I have the track record. You can just look at my track record to prove it. But we're creating resources and tools that do what? That develop faith and confidence. Those are our main. So whatever resources we create, they must focus on a faith aspect and a confidence aspect. Whether it's a book, whether it's a workbook, whether it's confession tools or packs, whether it's online Bible study downloads, whether these will be audio, whatever we're going to create that'll read. Number one, they have to be resources. So we qualify what kind of things we're going to make. They will be resources. They will be tools that will develop faith and confidence to do what? We want them to be able to have these resources to speak life to the individual, which is personal, to their families, which is going to be their immediate sphere, and to their world, which will include their career, their business, and whatever they influence outside of their home. Okay, so when you're voicing vision, it should give people a clear idea of not only where a person that is following your organization, but a person that works for your organization. Okay? Why do we exist? The other thing that's really important too is that any ministry and business, because I've consulted for both spheres and not just small entities. I have been a church consultant for mega churches, growing online ministries, and brick and mortars. I'm not talking to you as somebody that just, if theoretically has thought about, if I was working with a large or a small church or a mid-sized church, what I would do. No, this is not theoretical. This is not someone who went to a conference and is giving you what I regurgitated from a conference. This is someone who has the resume, okay, to teach this information, okay? And in this information, I want to tell you something. It's very important, okay? The organizations that last, not the ones that are popular, there's a difference. Popular and lasting are two different things. I can show you churches and businesses that have thousands of followers, but their giving and donor program is in the mud. I can show you people that look great on social media, but their infrastructure is broken. So I'm not here to show you how to be popular. I'm showing you how to be effective to the people that you're meant to serve, for you to be profitable if you are a business, and for you to be profitable if you're a ministry. Because profit is past just money if you're a ministry, but it does include that. Amen? Because, I got to cover all spheres, okay? You should be able to properly steward whatever God has given you. So this is why voicing vision is essential. There are, just to tap into the ministry side, the reason why many ministries are so poor is not because the enemy is stopping flow of finances. A lot of times it's because the leadership has not understood how to properly cast vision to create proper and healthy donor programs. That's just the short of it. It's the real short of it. When it comes to businesses, the reason why many times businesses fail is because, number one, the leader does not understand where they're going as a leader. So they don't understand where the company is going as a company. And then therefore it becomes hard for people to latch onto what you're doing because, number one, they don't understand it. They can't comprehend why it's important to them and why they should buy it. So a lot of times it's important to first sit and be still and to know, right, where you're going, why this is so important, why this thing should exist, and how can you get people to latch onto that vision. Let's go through the vision acronym, because in the vision I just gave you, I want to point out this is why I teach this framework. Okay, let's go through this vision acronym. The V, again, stands for giving voice. You must constantly throughout the year voice vision to your team. You must constantly voice vision to your followers, your clients, your customers. Continuously let them know of where the company's going, where the ministry is going. But then here's number 2. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. Notice that the word consistency is not in here. The word C is not in vision. But consistency is automatic when you're intentional. The consistency is automatic when you are intentional. If I can be honest, do you know what makes someone consistent? If they care. And I'm going to say something that's a little strong, but, again, I'm not here to be, someone that just pats you on the back. I want to be someone that makes you your best. Prioritizing things is a matter of what you care about. That's just the point blank of it all. It is okay to not care about something, but it's not okay if you keep on saying that you care, but you're not consistent. See, the thing is that we want to act as if we can care for everybody and everything. Here, let me tell you something. You can't. You can't. So it's better to just pick the things that you can get done and let God be God with other people. Okay? Other organizations can find other volunteers, but if God gave you a ministry or God put you, let's say for some of you, you haven't been faithful to your church, but you I'm not even going to go. That's another one. Okay? Because if you can't be consistent in serving, how are you going to be consistent in leading? But my thing is about whatever you prioritize. On this past Wednesday, I was in North Jersey, 2 hours away for a consulting trip. I had to be in Dover, Delaware, 2 hours and 30 minutes back to Delaware, okay, to start consulting for a church in Dover, okay. I had Bible study at 6 p.m. I left Dover at 5, was on the road for an hour to get back at my Bible study where I'm a part of our media team. I serve a small church, okay? And I don't consider myself, just because I'm consulting with large infrastructures, large churches and mega ministries, or even growing ones that have way more members than my church does, it does not give me the right to say that church is more important than my Bible study, which starts off at 6:30. I need to be there by 6 because my father's going to get up and preach the word at 6:30. My behind is not going to tell my pastor that because I am consulting for a mega ministry or I'm consulting for a large organization that has more prioritization over the Bible study that I attend faithfully as a member at 6:30. Why am I saying this? Because when it comes to vision, I have prioritized even the things that I do so that I understand that sometimes I am not committed to everyone else's things. I do what I do. I leave what I need to do when I am done, and I'm off to do the things that I am committed to. You got it? And this is important because you have to be intentional. You got to be intentional. And you are intentional when you care. If you love what you do, care about it. But don't tell people that you care and you're not consistent. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Don't tell us that God called you to build something and you're not consistent with it. That would make God to be a liar. And he is not a liar. And this is why many times the world is confused by what we claim to be our faith. Because if we're not faithful to what we are saying, something is wrong. So we must instead lighten the load off of our plates. Stop committing yourselves to things that you really do not care about. Okay, it's okay. They will find somebody else, okay? I'm trying to tell you. So you got to be intentional about the vision. Number 3, which is the S in vision, you got to be strategic. Can I say something? Being consistent and being strategic are not the same thing. You can do something wrong multiple times and actually become worse at the thing you're trying to become better at. I'm going to say that one again. Being consistent is not the same thing as being strategic. You can do the wrong thing multiple times and become even more worse at the thing you're trying to become better at. I play golf. I'm obsessed with golf. I'm very competitive with golf. I play from the white tees. I don't play from the women's. I don't play from the red tees. I play from the white tees. I like distance. I like power and drive. And I never forget when I came back to golf after 8 years off. When you're competitive, you haven't played something for 8 years, and you're competitive, you think you can just pick something back up. And it's going to be the same thing as it was 8 years ago. That's a lie. Okay? So I came back in my first lesson with my coach, because I believe in investing in coaches. If you want to get good, you got to invest in it. You got to invest or so. Invest in, so I'm going to find either a mentor, a ministry. I'm going to find somebody who has the knowledge. So I was working with my coach, and I picked up my clubs, and I thought I had the proper grip. He said, I want to see your swing. So I swung, and I felt good. He said, that's the wrong grip. He said, I can tell you have been practicing with that grip, because if you haven't picked up a club in 8 years, but yet, what have you been doing? So I said, well, I've been watching some YouTube videos, and I've been practicing. He said, well, you've been practicing wrong. And he said, you need to stop, because you need to start doing what I'm going to teach you, because if you continue doing that, you actually are going to decrease the amount of power that your swing will give, so that by the time you hit the ball, no wonder your ball is flying in the wrong direction. You've practiced the wrong thing. So being consistent is one side of it. But unless you are strategic, you will actually waste your energy, resources, and time doing the wrong thing. And doing the wrong thing will make you do what you're trying to do even worse. Did we get that? So I can't just be intentional. I've got to be strategic. I have to know where, when, and why. Let's go over there. What is strategy? Where, when, and why. I've got to know the where, when, and why when we're executing pieces of the vision. Remember, the vision is the destination, but the mission is how we get there. Right? So you have to have discernment to know when we launch something, when we don't launch it, when we build the team, when we you know what, something, especially when you're first kicking off a vision, it's really important that the leader is by themselves for a little bit of time, so that you can figure out what you want to do before you just get people on the team. Then we have to know when it's time to expand the team, when it's time to expand our resources, when it's time to launch the donor program, when it's time to pause this, that's where strategy comes in. Where do we launch the ministry? Where do we launch the next location? Do we do it online? Is it going to be a brick and mortar? Do we need a large building? Do we not need a building at all? Right? This is where I have to be strategic outside of being intentional. So let's go through what we have so far. The V in vision is for what? Giving voice. The I in vision, the first I, is doing what? To be intentional. But then my S is what? I've got to be what? I've got to be strategic. Let's keep on going. The second I is I must understand how to influence people. There's a great book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I have a whole library of books, but Dale Carnegie has an awesome book on how to win friends and influence people. It's a read that I believe every leader should read, because it's important that you understand how to work with people, but not just as a coworker, but as a leader. There's a difference. Being a coworker and being a leader are two different things, okay? You have to understand how to influence people to take action. A leader is not just someone who is in the front or someone who just has all the nice words to say. A leader actually knows how to get people to do something. And here's the thing about influence. Influence is where you're not doing it for them. They have chosen to do it because of your influence. And influence does not come from yelling at people, judging or condemning them into doing something. But influence is where you allow the person to come to their own conclusion, and they have chosen to do what you are advising or saying for their own benefit. Oof. It's not manipulation, though. That's the difference. Narcissism, where that's a part of leadership, that's where it goes to manipulation. It's when someone is selfish in the destination. They don't want you to go somewhere. They want you to go where they want to go for their own selfish desires. And when you spot that, you immediately leave that world. Husband, wife, job, coworker, boss. And whenever you identify that their pathway is taking you to a selfish place, you need to leave that organization as soon as possible. Okay, you pray for God to send you something else, another environment, another spouse, whatever it may be. Okay, but it's important that you understand how to influence people in a positive way. Remember, we use Hitler and Stalin as an example. They had influence and they had a vision, and the people still perished. You know why? It wasn't a good vision. It was a vision, but it wasn't a good vision. So it's important that you're leading people to a positive destination. And we will talk about each one of these letters. We're going to actually spend our Power 15 on. If you're not aware of the Power 15, the Power 15 is our weekly live stream that I've set up. It's going to happen every Monday and Tuesday. So we did shift the days. Every Monday and Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. So 8:45 a.m. 8:45 a.m. 8:45 a.m. 8:45 a.m. for 15 minutes. That's it. 15 minutes, Mondays and Tuesdays, 15 minutes. Okay? And so I'm trying to use this longer period of time to catch up, because on Wednesday, for some reason, the live was not acting right. So I'm just using this time to kind of give you guys the fullness so we can be ready for next week. Okay? Let's continue. Let's talk about O and N. Okay? Woo. So the O is really important because it means you have to now learn how to operate the vision. You have to step out of the theoretical. The theoretical is a place that a lot of people love. They love the theoretical. You ever talk to somebody who never has had kids? And I never had kids. And they talk to you about how to raise kids. Now, it's one thing. Now, I work in education, so I can give insight on working with kids. I cannot give insight on raising kids. But there are people who have never had kids, and they will talk to you about raising children. Now, they could talk to you maybe about educating them. They could probably talk to you about working with them, but they can only give you the theoretical of raising them. Okay? A lot of people love the theoretical because it requires no risk. And I got to say this one again. A lot of people love to talk about the theoretical because it involves no risk. I'm going to say that one more time, because some of you are listening to people who love to talk about the theoretical. Matter of fact, all their Facebook quotes and Instagram lives, it's all based on theoretical because they've never done it before. You know, they love to tell you if they had a business, what they would do. They would love to tell you if they had a ministry, how they would run it. They'll love to tell you about if they were over a church, how they would do church, right? And that's great, but it's nothing but a theoretical. Because unless you have actually led people, unless you've been responsible for people, and I'm not talking about responsible in another type of world, I'm talking about responsible in the world in which you're trying to be theoretical with, is nothing but a theory. And you have to stop listening to people who preach about things in the theoretical, but they have never experienced it themselves. Because at some point, as the visionary, you must operate the vision you've set. This is why, going back to what I said, you cannot call yourself a visionary and you are not taking people to the destination that you've set. You are just someone who has ideas, and that's okay. But don't call yourself a visionary, because a visionary sees it and then takes people to that destination. We saw that we would have a ministry that would do X, Y, and Z, and now we're doing it, right? We saw that we would have a company that would be able to have this level of impact and influence in this particular arena or marketplace, and we're doing it, okay? So you have to operate. You can't just say, oh, we're a ministry, we're a church, we're a business. You have to operate. Okay? Now, with the operate, there's a little other side word to that, which is you have to have organization. You cannot operate where there is no organization. I have asked ministries, where is your ministry model and plan? I want to see it. If a business needs a business plan, a ministry needs a ministry plan. Because what's your plan to sustain yourself? What's your plan of operation for the next 3 to 5 years as a ministry? Where are you going? Have you evaluated if people are in the right positions and places? I'm talking about ministry real quick. Or are we just assuming that because people are anointed that they're good at their job? Crickets. This is not to be condemnational, but this is for us to be effective, to actually do what God called us to do. be held accountable to it. When Jesus walked by the tree and it was producing no fruit, he cursed it from the root. You know why? It wasn't being effective. It was existing but not being effective. And we get offended many times, especially in a faith-based world, where we're actually held accountable to our job descriptions. Right? In business, it's the same way. If I ask you as a business owner, I want you to give me a snapshot of what the next 5 years are going to look like. You should have all your ducks in a row. Your financials should be in a row. Your organizational planning should be in a row. And if you say, I don't know how to do that, you need to figure out how to get it done, because you cannot call yourself the leader and you don't even know where you're going. And this is where I'm saying this, because I'm not saying this because I'm someone who has it all together. I'm telling you what I've experienced that has helped me become better. Because people told me, Genesis, how are you going to lead people and you don't know where you're going? You can't say that the anointing is enough. The anointing is for, this is very important, especially for those of you that are church-minded, business-minded, ministry-minded, I mean. The anointing is for God to use you. The anointing does not circumvent the organization and the preparation that is always required from any leader, saved or unsaved. It does not remove you from the responsibility. We went back to this in our accountability. That's why our accountability call is so important. In our accountability call, the beginning of this month, we read about Moses in Exodus. We talked about how Moses was anointed. And he said, he told his father-in-law Jethro, I listen to the people every day. From morning until night, I listen to everyone. I listen to their problems and concerns, and I sit in front of the people. And he thought he was being a great leader because, yes, he was anointed. But then Jethro said, at this rate, you're going to burn out, and the people are going to burn out because there's no organization. You've taken on all these people, and you have not organized how you will lead them. Jethro told Moses, go find leaders who you can set and appoint over the people. Give them, delegate. This is not wisdom. Why am I saying this? Because in order for you to properly operate in the vision, you have to have organization. Right? God wanted to take these people from Egypt into the promised land. Right? But then guess what? He had to introduce through people in Moses' life, the power of being organized. Because there's no way you're going to be able to organize all these people. And because thing is, it's one thing to take people from one destination to another. But you got to think about the in-between. Can I teach? When you're building your team and your staff, it's one thing to say, we're going to have multiple locations. But what are you doing when you have the one location? How are you dealing with your team with the one location, right? We got to deal with the one location times, right? We got to deal with getting people to be consistent and coming to the office. We got to deal with getting people to be consistent to show up for their assignment. We got to deal with the in-between, right? It's one thing that say we're going to have thousands of clients. How do you deal with 30? Right? The in-between. Organization allows us in each phase of our organization to build according to that phase in our business, in our ministry, in our lives, right? So that you can have systems in place in ways so that when God does expand you, you can handle the capacity as it's expanded. Got it? So that's what the O stands for. Okay, so O stands for operate, but in order to operate, I have to have what organization? Let's go to the end. Okay, we're almost done. If you are enjoying this, can you give me a 7 in the chat? Because that's how many weeks we're about to be together for this vision teaching, okay? But put a 7 in the chat if you're enjoying this. If you're watching the replay, and this video is over, in other words, the live stream is over, you're just watching the replay, put a 7 in the comments. That way I can say hi to you. After the live's over, I can say hi to you, okay? If you're enjoying this, you want to catch part 2. And again, everything's going to be saved. So if you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all these live streams will be saved. So you will be able to go back, and over time, if you want to go back and watch particular videos, you'll be able to go back and watch them and learn, okay? So let's go, before we do our end, let's go back over our vision acronym. Number 1, the V stands for what is it? Giving voice, right? I got to give voice. And if you remember some of the letters, put them in the chat. Put them in the chat. Help some people out so that way they don't have to keep on guessing, okay? If you remember some of the letters, put what some of those words are, okay, in the chat. So remember our words are V.I.S.I.O.N, okay? She said she need to figure out how to spell vision again. But the V stands for give voice. I gotta give voice. Who knows what the first I stands for? Or you can give us a second I, any of them can work. Give us any of our letters. But the first V is I gotta give voice. I gotta talk about the vision throughout the year, throughout the quarter, throughout the month. I gotta talk about vision. I gotta give voice. I gotta give voice. I gotta give voice. I gotta talk about it, communicate, talk about it to those who are a part of our consumer base, our client base, our ministry base. But then also talk to our team, our volunteers, those who lead. The leaders need to hear the vision from the leader, okay? And then I gotta do this, okay? The I gotta be intentional. I gotta be intentional. But then what was the S though? Because you can be intentional, but then what's that S word that we have to have? So I gotta give voice, I gotta be intentional, but with intention, you've gotta be anyone know what that is? I gotta be strategic, right? Because you can be intentional about the wrong thing. Anyone ever dated the wrong man? Anyone dated the wrong woman? You could be intentional about the wrong thing, right? You're intentional, but it's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. I gotta be strategic. There go holistic plug. I gotta be strategic. And then once I understand what word, anyone know what our whys were within strategic? You gotta ask yourself 3 questions. Anyone know what our 3 questions are? If I'm gonna be strategic, strategy demands that I ask 3 questions so that I know how to pull. I don't want to say the trigger, but how we know, when things need to happen. So I just said them. But what are our 3 W's? Anyone know? And actually, it could be 4 because you could put what with that. But what? Well, originally it was where, when, and how. Well, you can put what, when, where, and how. What, when, where, and how. Because I think the what is actually important. I didn't put that in there, but that is important. What are we doing? Where are we doing it? When are we doing it? Why are we doing it? All your why. You gotta ask all the W's. You gotta ask them. Because that's how you know you're being strategic. Okay, you gotta ask your W's. What, when, where, and why. Now here's why we don't say how. Because the how is the mission. This is good. The how becomes the mission. The vision, though, is the direction. Hopefully you guys are catching that. That's something really important to catch. That's the difference. What, when, where, and why. What we ask as the how becomes, bam, that's a mission. Got it? So that's important. Now let's go to our O. What's our O? We just said, I. We skipped our I. Sorry. So give voice, be intentional, be strategic. But then what's that second I word? What's the second I word? Because you have to know how to do this with people. If you cannot do this, you are not a leader. What is that second I? You got to be able to do this as a leader. If you cannot do this, you're not a leader. There you go, holistic plug. You got to have influence. If you cannot influence people, you are not a leader. And this is why leadership is not always leading from the front. Because there are people who can lead from the back and can influence people to get whatever it is done. Okay? You know why? Because they understand that leadership is not about leading the front. It's about being able to influence people. And of course, you want to influence people to do good. Okay, what's our O? And again, we're going to break these down each in a separate video. Okay, so the Power 15, again, is going to serve that. And again, our Power 15 happens every Monday and Tuesday at 8:45 a.m. for 15 minutes. So you definitely be sure to catch those. And if you miss them, you can catch the replays on the Genesis Door C platforms. What's our O? What is our O? What's our O? This is important. Oof, this is good. And we just touched this one, so hopefully you guys remember it. If I am giving voice, if I am being intentional, if I'm being strategic, okay, if I'm influencing others, okay, I have to now get to the point where I am operating. That's what the O's have to be operating in the vision. Right? Because once we know the where, when, why, once we got, okay, it's great. Once we're getting people to be influenced. Okay, well now it's time to operate in the vision. You got to operate in it, right? Okay, you prepare yourself. You're voicing it. You're being strategic. Okay, but now you got to walk in it, got to operate in it. But you cannot operate fully in the vision until you have organization. Okay, so this has another word behind it, organization. We talked about with Jethro and Moses. You can please go back to that, Moses and Jethro, where there's a story in which you have to understand how to have an organization in place. You may be an organization, but you have to have organization. Okay, now here's the end. Got to give voice, be intentional, be strategic, give influence, operate, and guess what the end is? Everyone say no. Now this is where we're going to end. This is good. This is good because this is what has been a great lesson for many of you. But you're gonna get this one. Everybody say no. The N stands for no. N stands for no. Because this is how you protect the vision. Many people have had visions that have become tainted and become things that they never should have been in the first place. You know why? They never said no. This is interesting because if someone asked me, Jesus, what do you believe is the number one reason why many people have a hard time creating vision? All right, you know what I would tell them? It's because they refuse to say no. What do I mean by this? Genesis, remember Genesis, you're gonna have this in multiple teachings, so don't say too much. People ask me all the time, Genesis, how do you have multiple visions? And we're going to answer this in a deeper way in another conversation. I'm going to give you a short synopsis because this goes right with saying no. If you haven't gotten one vision off the ground, you have no business getting another vision off the ground. Because vision requires protection. And many people who are in distraction mode, it's hard for them to execute vision completely. Because they can cast it, they put it out there, but they never catch any fish. Never catch any fish. You know why? Because the moment you had casted it out, you put down the rod and you go pick up another rod. You say, okay, I'm going to cast this vision. Okay? Put out the rod. Oh, wait, I'm going to launch something. You put down the rod and you go past another one. And then we wonder why there is no harvest. There are no fish in your basket. Because we never stay long enough to cast it and for somebody to catch it. I pray some of you guys just caught that. Because you have to protect your time, your energy, your focus. And it does not mean that you are not gifted, creative, or anything just because you're not using every single fiber of your being to bless the Lord, you know? No, it's about what can you give voice to? What can you be intentional about? What can you be strategic about? What can you influence people to do? Can you operate in it and can you be organized in it? And can you say no? If you can't do that in one entire idea becoming realized into a business or organization, do not pick up something else. It's not just about having ideas. This is so big. The enemy is in love when believers are distracted by ideas. He is not, I say this all the time, he's not intimidated because God gave you an idea. The demons are not out here trying to find you because many Christians are so scattered because they are obsessed with ideas, but they have not sat down to give voice to one thing, to be intentional about one thing, to be strategic about one thing. And then people say, well, how do I use all my gifts? Use all your gifts in one thing. You're telling me that you can't do all your different gifts in one thing? And there are some things you were never supposed to monetize in the first place. You're supposed to keep those things as hobbies, as passions, to not be monetized. So you can go out there and dance on the weekends, you know, at your church and do praise dance. That doesn't mean you're supposed to do a praise dance ministry and do real estate and do, no, something. What can you build? What can you make last? What can you build as an organization? So that you're not stressed out all the time. So that you're not ripping and running all the time. That was never God's intention, for us to be ripping and running and have no time to pray, have no time to lay hands, have no time to deliver people, have no time to do ministry. We can't even do ministry for free because we are so running and ragged. And I mean this with the most sincere heart. But the church is scattered and burnt out. Because we're trying to monetize, we're trying to have so many side hustles, and we refuse to get still and build strategic organizations and constructs. Because we want the Lord to use us all the way up. And there's no scripture in the Bible that says that. Not one. So just build one thing and get that one off the ground. May it be profitable. I'm done. Let me continue. I'm done with that point. The point is, though, you have to protect it. The way you protect things is by saying no. Okay? What does this mean? If the vision of the organization, a ministry or a business, is supposed to accomplish X, if B comes around, or C comes around, or D comes around, but it's supposed to carry out X, you can't do it. But you know what we do? Let me tell you what people do. You know, let me think about a way in which we can make that happen. I don't see why we couldn't do it. But that's not the vision of the company. That's not the vision of the ministry. I don't see why we couldn't launch an arm for the church that does X, Y, and Z. I mean, our mission is to help everybody. But was that your calling? Maybe you should partner with an organization that specializes in that, instead of you making that now a whole entire ministry within your church that you're not even called to do. Again, I'm not condemning. I'm trying to free people. Okay? Oh, you know, I know our business is focusing on this particular arena, but I don't know why we couldn't add on a complete other entity that has nothing to do with what we do, and we're going to try to make our audience all merge into one, act like they should all understand what we're now doing. So we're now a cookie store that does taxes. I know that's extreme, but that's how it looks when you do that. All right? So now we're adding on things to our business that don't even correlate to each other, don't even merge. But because we refuse to say no, now we're doing all these things, and then we justify it by finding a way in which, hold on. Instead of saying no, we justify the action by trying to find a way that it makes sense. Let me tell you something. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way for it to make sense. To you, though, it does not make sense, though, to God. It makes sense to you, though, because you have tried to validate why this should happen. Yeah, listen, the tax cookie, listen, tax cookie. Listen, okay? You know what I would call sweet taxes. Oh my God. It's one of those things where that's how it looks. The Tax Cookie Incorporated. Listen, that's how it looks. And so this is a joke, but this is true. Now, listen, we're coming to an end. We're at an end. We spent an hour. You guys know that an hour is usually my average time. But I hope that you've understood what the VISION acronym is. Now, what we're going to do as we come to a close, we're going to spend the next about 7 or 8 weeks every Monday and Tuesday morning at 8:45 Eastern Time on Instagram as well. Hello, Instagram, as well as Facebook and YouTube. Those of you who are watching right now, this is the way that you're going to be able to watch it. It will all go onto the respective platforms. You'll be able to watch the replays in the chance that you miss them, okay? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to spend some time this weekend meditating on the vision for your organization, whether it's a ministry, a business. I want you, whether it's a personal brand, which is a business, I want you to meditate. To meditate means to think upon. Meditation is a biblical principle. The world has completely transformed it into something else. But meditation is when I begin to allow the imagination, which God has given us, all of us, God has given us our imagination that allows us to think upon and think about the possibilities of things. And God speaks to us in our imagination. He really does. Because if you allow yourself to get still, just like this, then I want you to see yourself operating within the vision. I want you to see yourself doing what you know God's called you to do. And maybe you're already, you already are a business. You already are a leader. You're already doing it. I want you to see yourself fully doing every part of the acronym. I want you to see yourself giving voice to it. I want to see yourself speaking in front of your team, speaking in front of people. If you don't have a team, see yourself speaking in front of a team. I want you to think about how you can be more intentional about it. I want you to think, okay, how can I be more strategic? I want you to see yourself being strategic. I want you to see yourself influencing others. I want you to see yourself, okay, operating in it and having more organization. I want you to see yourself more organized. You may not know exactly how that looks because you're unorganized, but you want to see yourself, all of us know what it looks like to look organized. But you have to see yourself organized. You cannot become what you do not already see. I'm going to say that one again. You cannot become what you do not already see. The reason why people fear becoming is that they've never spent enough time seeing themselves. And why do they not see themselves? Because fear, doubt, unbelief has told them that they are not qualified to see themselves as something that they are not. But how can you get somewhere if you don't see yourself there? Well, I've never been in that environment before. Or I've never talked to those kinds of people. Or I don't know what it is. I've never experienced healthy this or healthy that. You have to first imagine yourself in a healthy marriage before you are in a healthy marriage. You know why? Otherwise, you'll just be meditating on the traumatic one that you had in the past. And that's all you see is the trauma. All you see is the devastation. All you see was the divorce. All you see was the arguments. That's all you're seeing. So how can you not see but then expect it? Okay? So as a leader of an organization, of a ministry, of a business, of a company, okay, I must first see what I want to become first. You cannot also tell people to become something that you are not. So you have to spend time meditating. It is a biblical practice, okay, where you're spending time being still so that your mind can even process the thought. You can't meditate and drive. You cannot meditate and cook. I don't care. Put the kids in the crib in a room. I don't care what they need to do. Put them on the iPad. And then you get still. I don't care if you have to pay a babysitter to watch your kids for 2 hours so you can sit in the room by yourself in the quiet, put on your music, and begin to think. You need to think about saying no. Some of you have never even saw yourself saying no. You have to think about I got to see myself protecting the vision. I have to see myself focusing and saying no to opportunities because people will always try to get you to come on their ship and tell you that your ship is not enough. Some of you, and I'm ending with this because we're coming to a close. My watch is dead. I can't look at my watch. Forgot my watch died. Some of you are people pleasers. And so this is preventing you from ever building something successfully. Because the moment someone tells you that what they're building is better than what you're building, and they don't actually say it like that. What they say is that they're offering you a great and amazing opportunity. And of course, they are influencers. Because how else can you build a team without influence? How else can you draw people without influence? So they will tell you that in what you're doing, that, well, what we're doing will not take, any of your time away. It will not, matter of fact, it'll be a benefit. But what they are not telling you is that how much time you have to commit to what they're doing, but you never spend enough time committing to what you're doing. And let me tell you this. Rarely do people build a team, and I'm saying this even in my own report. If I know that you're building and you're trying to launch a large ministry, I would never waste your time to have you join mine, to be on my team. Because you need to be busy building yours. So let me tell you what narcissistic leaders do. They will find people who are very inconsistent with building their own dreams because those are the perfect people to become followers and to have on a team. Especially a narcissist. You have to find people who want to serve. But not just want to serve, but are willing to serve other people's visions. Those are really the best people for teams. But some of you You've never actually given your own vision a focus. So when people bring an opportunity, especially if they have more influence and leadership than you do and you're attracted to them in some kind of way, you will easily sign up for what they want you to do. And you will easily leave what you're doing to do what they need you to do. And here's my thing. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what God has called you to do. But more than likely, most times it's not. I say this with love. So you have to learn how to say no. Because if you believe more in an opportunity than you do your God, you don't believe in God in the first place. Can I say that one again? If you believe more than in an opportunity than you do your God, you haven't believed in God in the first place. Okay? So if you're counting on an opportunity to make your name great, and if God didn't tell you that was it, that's not going to be it. It is better to build your own. That's what I did. I never waited for someone to give me an opportunity to build my platform that God gave me. First of all, I'm a steward of the platform. It's not even mine. It's what God has given me. So I am responsible for the platform, not because of what I want to do. I'm responsible for GenesisDorsey.com because this is what God told me to do. So when I first started this in 2014, I started teaching in 2012. So I started Girls Royalty in 2012, which makes it now 10 years. But I started the personal brand, GenesisDorsey.com, in 2014. I have been teaching and speaking since then from GenesisDorsey.com. Okay? And since 2014, I created the website. I started motivating. I wasn't waiting on someone to put me on platforms. I created my own platform. I wasn't waiting for someone to make my name great. God said he'll make my name great. So you know what I did? I began building up. I was writing books for someone said, you know, I see God is calling your life. You better write a book. I wrote the book because God told me to write the book. Not to say that people can't speak life into you, but I wasn't waiting on someone to affirm me about what God told me to do. If God told me to write the book, that's more than I need to know to write the book. I need you to speak. You know, people are waiting on a word when God gave them the word. And then this is important. And I promise you, I'm in here. You can't call yourself a leader if you're depending on other people to get you on fire. That's not how this works. You are still a follower, and there's nothing wrong with being this, okay? Because we got to learn how to just be who we are. If you're someone that you need people to kind of, you know, pick you up in order for you to get started, you're in the follower pile, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But what you don't want to do is call yourself a leader, but you can't lead yourself. I had to learn how to lead myself before I let it. God never gave me a team until I learned how to lead myself. I had to learn how to write stuff because God told me to write it. I learned how to write Bible studies because God told me to write the Bible studies. I learned how to speak and teach because I wasn't waiting for someone to say, you know, God has called you to be a speaker. No, God told me to be a speaker. That's why I'm a speaker. I wasn't waiting on someone to say I was intelligent or a genius. God told me I was a genius. So because of that, that is what gives me my starting fire. That's why I don't need someone to say, okay, Genesis, now you go up there, you go up there, you go up there, and you go lead the people. No, I lead people because God told me to take them here. I lead people because God told me to take them here. I lead people because God gave me the fire and the passion to do this thing. And I don't need someone to be like, okay, now you go along, you go get you got this, you got this. No. But you cannot lead people if you are not confident in where you have to see that thing. This is why I'm teaching so powerfully on vision. You have to see that end destination like this. And then you got to be like, you know what? I see it. And you got to get yourself in a place where you're like Abraham, where he said, look into the stars. See, that's the thing. You can't lead people in having multiple tribes, and you can't even see stars. I had to see myself as somebody that could speak into the lives of people with my little 5-foot self. Yep. I had to see myself speaking in front of people, getting them motivated, giving them driven, giving them to believe in themselves, getting them excited about where God was taking them to. That's how I've even come to have the kind of voice I have, because I did not have this in 2012. Okay, you can watch some videos in 2012, 13. I was speaking more like this, and there's nothing wrong with having different. Everyone speaks differently. But the fire that God gave me, because not everyone speaks the same, but the fire that God gave me was because I saw that thing, and I saw it so deeply. And this is for somebody. It's the reason why I'm staying longer than I usually am. There's somebody you have to get still so you can get on fire. you were on fire, but you lost your fire because, I don't know, you just become so distracted and so all over the place. And you stop getting excited about where you're going. So you got to get still and you got to see it. And you don't see it like with your eyes. You see it inwardly. And then what you do is you begin to build confidence in that destination. Oh, man. Oh, I'm so excited. This is how it is. I'm so excited to lead people to that destination because I see it. I know it. I know it. And then you get to a place where you have this conviction that's so deep that no one can tell you that it won't happen. This is how you build up conviction as a leader. You get so convicted on that thing. Doesn't mean that you won't make a mistake. Doesn't mean that you won't falter. But what it means is that you are utterly and so convinced that this is where I am going. And when people even try to come to you with an opportunity or a possibility, you can say no because you are so convinced in that destination. You can see 100 other destinations. And at the end of the day, you just like, you know what, though? That's where I'm going, though. Okay. It's like knowing you're going to Hawaii and someone starts talking about Jamaica. And like, yeah, Jamaica, it's amazing. Jamaica. I heard about Jamaica, but let me tell you about Hawaii, though. Okay. Hawaii is on fire. Do you hear me? And people say, but I've heard, because I've heard the statistics say, that Hawaii is struggling. Hawaii, I've heard that isn't the best place to go. The numbers say, the data says, my aunt went herself to Hawaii. You can see, so as you're hearing this, you know exactly what I'm saying in the comparison, the analogy, because this is exactly what happens when God gives you a vision. People will continuously give you data, statistics, even give you their own experience for why you should not go to Hawaii. When my aunt went to Hawaii, and when she went to Hawaii, she said it was the worst trip of her life. But I see it, though. I see it. I see Hawaii. And somebody said, why you? Because I'm using that as an example for where your vision is. I'm going to take them there. I'm going to take them right there. That's exactly. I want people to experience X, Y, and Z. The moment someone sits in your salon, they sit down in the chair. People say, salons are going out of business. And the hair is, and But if God gave it to you, when they sit in your chair, they're not going to get the experience of whatever your auntie got in her hair. I would never go to it. I would never go to a salon. That's fine. Listen. That's you. But this is what God said, and I see the destination. Guys, I love you guys so much. I will see you guys next Monday, okay? Be sure to join the email list at genesisdorsey.com/join. Just go to genesisdorsey.com, okay? And you can join our community, get on the email list. But I pray that you enjoyed this. If you want to see more, be sure to tune in to us on Monday and Tuesday at 8:45 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to have a good time. It will not be this long. Next week, it's only be 15 minutes. But I wanted to spend enough time with you for you to understand where we're going in these teachings so that you have the foundational understanding of the acronym of vision and you can learn more about each of these words. Okay, guys? I will see you guys next week.